Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as you're able and join me in the welcoming of City Council and the playing of the national anthem and the reading of the invocation.
Would you please remain standing if you're able as I read the invocation to begin the January council meeting. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities that are laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness, where freedom prevails and where justice rules. We acknowledge the rich history of this land, which includes the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Today, there are many First Nations, Métis and Inuit peoples who live or work in the city. The intent of this acknowledgement is to acknowledge our responsibility to use and take care of these lands responsibly and respectfully, while remembering the generations past and considering the generations yet to come. We respect and seek to continue and promote the long-standing relationships with the area's First Nations, the Six Nations of the Grand River First Nation, and the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, and all the Indigenous people who reside within the city of Brantford. Let us also not forget those who served our community and who are no longer with us, so that we can continue to do the work that we must in their memory. Please be seated. Mr. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Councillor Van Tilborg.
Here.
Councillor Carpenter.
Here.
Councillor Slez.
Present.
Councillor McCreary.
Here.
Councillor Sullivan.
Present.
Councillor Samwell.
Present.
Councillor Hunt.
Present.
Councillor Martin.
Here.
Councillor Caputo.
Present.
Councillor Sicoli.
Here.
And Mayor Davis.
Here.
Through the chair, roll call's been taken.
All right, so we're now following a new procedure. I'm going to give a short summary of what occurred in the meeting that took place prior to this council meeting, which was an in-camera meeting. And I can indicate as follows. On November 25th, 2025, in an effort to be more transparent, City Council approved closed meeting protocol policy 005, which requires council to report out a closed session at the next open session meeting. This is to advise you that the council of the city of Brantford met in closed session today at 4 p.m. to consider matters that it is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act and as listed on the agenda. In the continuing interest of transparency and open government, I'm reporting in public session any outcomes from today's closed session meeting that I'm permitted. Please. Thank you. That I'm permitted to do so. One, matters with Six Nations of the Grand River First Nations Sports and Entertainment Center in Northern Boundary Lands. Council received an update on the negotiations underway between Six Nations of the Grand River First Nation regarding the Sports and Entertainment Center and Northern Boundary Lands, and gave staff appropriate direction based on that advice. Two, received legal advice on an OLT appeal relating to 277 Hardy Road. Council received legal advice regarding the OLT appeal of 277 Hardy Road, and staff were given direction on how to proceed with that appeal. I'm going to ask members if anybody has a declaration of a conflict of interest they need to make regarding any of the items that are on this evening's agenda. And I believe Council Van Tilburg, you had declared a conflict in item 12.3.1, the zoning bylaw amendment.
12.3.1, I have a relative with that owns property adjacent to the property in question for planning.
So that's the 342, 346 West Street matter. Okay, so your conflict duly noted. Anyone else? Anyone at home? All right, so that deals with conflicts. We just have the one. Before we go into dealing with the separation of items, I'm going to take this opportunity to address council and the community, which is what Mayor normally does at this time of year, as we finished 1 year and we're about to begin the next year of 2026, and also being the last year of this term of council. So it's often appropriate for Mayor to make a short address when we moving into the last year. So that's what I'm doing tonight. So friends, neighbors, residents, and members of council. First, I want to thank you for the privilege of serving this remarkable city. As many of you know, this will be my last year as your mayor, and it's been my immense honor to serve you. And I look forward to what we can accomplish in the months together leading to the end of this term. So when I take time to reflect on the past 8 years of the mayor of Brantford, one word comes to mind: resilience. We've been through a lot together. So let's focus though on what 2025 showed us. It was truly a year of real progress, but also a year that tested us and tested this community and frankly, our province and our country. A year that asked tough questions of council and of our staff and of our community, and a year that proved once again that Brantford does not shy away from hard work or hard conversations. Over the past 12 months, our city continued to grow, not just in numbers, but in confidence. We made tangible progress on housing as we have over the last 6 years, advancing developments across the city and also in the county, including intensification of the downtown core and new residential growth in areas such as West Brant and the Southwest expansion lands, including a number of city-owned and managed projects designed expressly in the way of affordable rent-geared income units. And council supported the planning and the servicing work that allowed that to happen, that unlocked thousands of new housing units, recognizing that not only in building affordable housing do we address affordability and availability, but also in seeing the stock of private housing expand. That also increases through the laws of supply and demand affordability, all of which is all fundamental to Brantford's future. Our economy continued to strengthen as well in some very difficult circumstances. This year, we saw a significant industrial and manufacturing investment in Brantford's employment lands, reinforcing our role, our growing role as a regional economic engine. Projects such as the $500 million expansion of Ferrero and Massili's operations that was announced this morning demonstrate confidence in Brantford as a place to grow, to invest, and create jobs and prosperity. There's so many businesses in Brantford who've shared in that success and growth. Naming just a few: Barry Callebaut, Scotland and their office complex on Highway 403, and of course Hilton Foods, and there are more. I am proud of how businesses have demonstrated their faith in us, in our community, making Brantford as their home or expanding the home and presence they already have in Brantford. Hand in hand with that, infrastructure to service that growth remained a major focus of this council, because growth only works when it's supported by strong foundations. And over the past year, council approved major investments in roads, bridges, water, and wastewater systems, including continued work on Colburn Street, Clarence Street, and other key arterial corridors. These projects, they aren't glamorous, but they're essential. They ensure that Brantford is ready for the future. We also continue to invest in active transportation and community connectivity, expanding trail networks and the maintenance of trail networks, and improving walkability, helping residents move safely and sustainably throughout the city, which of course included major investments in our transit system. Downtown revitalization remained a priority. This year saw some continued momentum in the core, from new businesses opening their doors to ongoing improvements around Harmony Square, Colburn Street, and Market Street, as well as completion of the sale of the Colburn Point property, which will lead, I'm sure, to a very exciting development at the west end of our downtown. We also, through the efforts of councillors like Councillor Caputo, expanded the cultural events, festivals in our downtown, and also promoted and supported the local entrepreneurship, which continues to breathe life into our downtown. Also, there were extensive investments made that prioritize recreation, sport, and community well-being. Investments in facilities such as the Civic Center, parks. We've had over the last 7 years, almost 30 parks, very much extensively upgraded. We also had community spaces and investments in community spaces to ensure residents of all ages have places to gather, stay active, and connect. We're excited as we move forward with the development of the Sports and Entertainment Center, and also proud, of course, that we're home now, permanent home, of the Brantford Bulldogs, which I believe potential Memorial Cup winners this year. We're proud to work with we were proud to work with Brantford Police Services to host the province's Special Olympic Games this past summer, right here in Brantford. These investments and partnerships support not only the quality of life, but also tourism and economic activity. And on the note of partnerships, we did strengthen partnerships with other orders of government, securing provincial support for key initiatives. One just recently announced last week regarding our wastewater treatment plan. All of this funding is critical for the economic development of our community, including infrastructure, water, recreation, and community safety. As these partnerships mature and these projects mature, they'll deliver real results for Brantford residents in the coming years. One of my most proud partnerships has the ongoing work we have been doing to reconcile and reaffirm our relationship with Six Nations, and more news of that to come, we hope, later this winter and spring. We have heard it did begin with a joint project, which of course I'm talking about Fox Ridge, and the development of a space for the displaced elders who previously were in the Iroquois Lodge, all of which demonstrates, I think, a really true and sincere willingness on the part of this council and this community to move forward together with Six Nations and also New Credit in a true spirit of collaboration and a shared focus on the future. But you know, these successes did not happen by accident. They happened because of collaboration between council members, and we may not always agree, but I think we are united in our commitment to this city. They happen because we're truly blessed to have an exceptional cadre of city staff who show up every day with professionalism, creativity, and pride. And happen because of a community that's engaged, vocal, and invested. But let me be clear, the year was not without its challenges. And like municipalities across Ontario and Canada, Brantford faced rising construction costs, inflationary pressures, infrastructure backlogs, and a growing demand for municipal services. Housing affordability, public safety, and fiscal sustainability require difficult and sometimes unpopular decisions. We navigated a challenging budget environment, balancing the need to invest in projects like infrastructure renewal, policing, and fire services, while remaining mindful of residents' ability to afford the tax burden that we place upon them. Council continued advocating to the province and the federal government for sustainable funding models that recognize the expanded and ever-growing responsibility that's placed on cities. These challenges tested us, but they also sharpened us. They forced us to ask How do we grow responsibly? How do we invest wisely? How do we ensure safety, opportunity, and quality of life for every resident today and tomorrow? Council didn't always take the easy path, but I believe we did take the thoughtful one. We've made decisions guided by long-term planning rather than short-term comfort. We listened to residents, we adjusted where we needed, and we remained focused on building a city that's inclusive, safe, and opportunity-rich. One of the things I'm most proud of this year is how Brantford showed up for itself. We saw it in neighborhoods and neighborhood associations supporting one another, in local businesses reinvesting here in our home, in community organizations responding to increased need with compassion and determination, and in residents who care deeply enough about our community and residents to speak up, volunteer, and help shape this city's future. That engagement, when done constructively and without malice or cruelty, is not a weakness. In fact, I believe it's one of Brantford's greatest strengths. And as we look ahead, Brantford stands at an important moment. We are a city that now has considerable momentum, a city that's showing ambition, a city that respects its history while confidently building its future. The work ahead will not always be easy. Growth will require patience, progress will require partnership, and leadership will continue to require courage. But I'm confident, deeply confident, that Brantford is ready. Ready because of the people who call this place home. Ready because of a council that's committed to working together. Ready because this city has proven time and time again that when challenged, we rise to the occasion. And I thank you to my fellow council members for your dedication and service during this term of council. I thank you to city staff for your tireless work behind the scenes and making us elected officials look good. And I thank the residents of the city of Brantford for your trust, your honesty, your input, and your belief in what this city can be and its potential. This past year, because of what we faced and what we continue to face, I think showed us what we are. But I think we already knew that. And the year ahead is about what and who we will become. And together, I know Brantford's best days are still ahead. And so I thank you for your support and your assistance. And as you know, we still have a few great initiatives and projects to accomplish in this remaining term of council. And I believe we'll be busy right until the very end. And also one of my own personal goals as we complete this term is to establish what I call pathways for success of the mayor that will follow me and the council that will follow this. And I think that's one of the most important things that one council can do to the next. It's called succession. And our community grows stronger when we pass the torch from one council, one mayor, to another council, and do that responsibly with a view to providing the best possible foundation for the next council's success. So with that, I'm going to now move into the separation of items. And I think we have a few items we want separated. So we already have zoning bylaw amendment PZ 1824 at 342, 346 West Street being separated, both because of a conflict and also because there are delegations. Is there anything else anybody wants separated? Councillor Van Tilburg.
12.1.3.
That's the Petka boxes. Okay. Anything else? Not seeing else. We have 12.1.3 and 12.3.1, the 342, 346 West Street. So, Councillor Van Tilburg, could you please move the motion to approve all items in the committee reports that are not being separated?
Moved by myself, seconded by Counselor Samwell, that all items contained within committee reports 12.1 to 12.3, not separated for discussion, be approved.
All right, so before voting, of course, we'll ask the clerk to read the title of all the items that we're voting on.
Through the chair, the following items are subject to the vote from the Committee of the Whole Operations Report. 12.1.1 Legislative Updates and Impacts to Brantford Bill 60, Concurrent Provincial Consultations. 12.1.2 Updated Real Estate Policy. 12.1.4 Replacement and Commemoration of Willow Trees at Lorne Park from the Social Services Committee Report. 12.2.1 New Affordable Housing Development, 687 Colborne Street. 12.2.2 Nonprofit Housing Development in Well. And those are the items subject to the vote.
I'm a yes.
All items not separated for discussion purposes carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor: Councilors Sullivan, Celeste, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
All right, we have no statutory public hearings tonight. There are no recognitions of achievement this month, but we do have several proclamations on tonight's agenda. So Councillor Sokoli, if you would please move all proclamations, state your seconder, and then go on to read the first proclamation.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Counselor Sullivan, I'm assuming. Yeah, perfect. That the following proclamations be approved: 8.1 International Mother Language Day, February 21st, 2026. 8.2 Black History Month, February 2026. And 8.3 International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Proceeding into reading 8.1, which is International Mother Language Day, February 21st, 2026. Whereas languages are essential to education and sustainable development, serving as the primary means through which knowledge is transferred and cultures are preserved. And whereas on February 21st, 1952, a number of students from Dhaka University in Bangladesh were tragically killed during a demonstration advocating for the recognition of their mother language, Bangala, also known as Bengali. The observance of International Mother Language Day honors the sacrifice of these students and their unwavering advocacy for linguistic rights. And whereas multilingual education, particularly for minority and Indigenous languages, not only helps learners, but also fosters a deeper connection between education and culture, contributing to more inclusive and equitable societies. And whereas the 25th anniversary of International Mother Language Day celebrates a quarter century of efforts to preserve linguistic diversity and promote mother tongues. And whereas International Mother Language Day is proclaimed by UNESCO and later adopted by the UN General Assembly, underscores the role of languages in promoting inclusion. Now therefore be it resolved that the Corporation of the City of Brantford hereby proclaim February 21st, 2026 as International Mother Language Day.
Thank you. And Councillor Samla, if you'd read 8.2, please.
Black History Month. Whereas the city of Brantford is a diverse community strengthened by many cultures, identities, and traditions of its residents. And whereas Black residents have helped shape Brantford's social, cultural, and economic life for generations, from 1784 to Black residents have been part of the fabric of Brantford community, starting with communities such as Little Africa in the 1800s. Black residents continue to contribute through leadership, entrepreneurship, academic excellence, artistry, service, and community building that continues to enrich our city. And whereas Black History Month offers an opportunity to honor the stories, accomplishments, and lasting impacts of Black people, past and present, while deepening understanding, building belonging, and reframing and reaffirming our shared responsibility to advance equity and inclusion. Whereas the theme Black Joy calls on us to celebrate, acknowledge the resistance, resilience, excellence, creativity, and pride within Black communities, recognize joy as both a powerful cultural expression and a testament to the perseverance in the face of barriers. And whereas Black joy is reflected in the achievements of Black students, professionals, families, elders, artists, athletes, entrepreneurs, and volunteers who continue to strengthen neighborhoods, inspire future generations, and drive innovation and community well-being throughout Brantford. And whereas Brantford recognizes the importance of new and strengthened supports, including community partnerships, programs, services, and safe spaces that help Black residents and Black-led organizations thrive, grow, and lead, and that support a city where everyone can fully participate and belong. And whereas the city of Brantford is committed to celebrating Black voices, supporting Black-led initiatives, and working collaboratively to address systemic barriers so that Black residents can live, work, learn, and flourish with dignity and opportunity. Now therefore it be resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford hereby proclaims the month of February as Black History Month in the City of Brantford and encourages all residents to commemorate this month by learning, reflecting, participating in activities that celebrate Black joy, the resilience, achievements, and meaningful contributions of Black members of our community in Brantford. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Curry, if you'd read 8.3, please.
Mayor, certainly, thank you. Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Whereas Jan 27 is commemorated worldwide as International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and whereas the United Nations General Assembly designated that date to remember the liberation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp in 1945, and whereas January 27-26 marks the 81st anniversary of the liberation, and whereas the Holocaust was a systematic extermination of 6 million Jews and the deaths of millions of others perpetrated by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. And whereas we must also go beyond remembrance and make sure that new generations know this history and apply the lessons of the Holocaust to today's world. And whereas anti-Semitism once again rears its ugly head, and once again Jews are persecuted and killed for their beliefs. Now therefore be it resolved, the Corporation of the City of Brantford hereby proclaims January 27 as International Holocaust Remembrance Day and condemns anti-Semitism in its many forms.
Thank you. And Mr. Clerk, would you please take the vote?
I'm a yes.
The approval of all the proclamations carries unanimously and recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
Right, we'll move into presentations, delegations, and we have 2 registered delegations this evening, I believe, regarding the 342, 346 West Street matter. So prior to hearing the delegations, I'd like to remind those in the meeting today of the following rules of decorum as set forth in the city's procedural bylaw. No person shall display any sign, banner, or placard in the meeting room other than the materials that, in the opinion of the chair, are legitimate audiovisual aids necessary in connection with any presentation made to council. All persons present shall use polite and respectful language and shall refrain from the use of any language or the making of any gesture that is disrespectful or offensive. All persons addressing council shall speak only on the subject in debate and shall not speak on any other subject. No person shall applaud participants in the debate or engage in conversation or behavior that may disrupt the proceedings of the meeting. So we'll move on to the first delegation. And I'd remind delegates, when you come forward, please confirm the matter that you want to speak to and provide us with your name and address. You'll then have 10 minutes to provide your presentation inclusive of questions. So I believe the first delegate we have is Carly Sordas. So Carly, if you would come up, please. Push
Hi.
the red button.
Perfect. Carly Sordas,
Okay,
ready to rock?
we're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. As you may know, my name is Carly Sordas, and I'm a resident speaking in support of the Planning Department's recommendation to refuse the application that is proposed, the 10 stories, 90-unit apartment building at 342, 346 West Street. When it comes to housing solution, I'm definitely team infill, but I believe in smart identification and using our existing infrastructure wisely. But there's a big difference between good infill and bad planning. And I personally believe that this is bad planning dressed up to be density. I first became aware of this development after seeing multiple comments on our local Facebook groups from concerned residents. And I thought, what a better way to get involved in my off time to understand what's really happening than going directly to those who are impacted. So I went out myself and met with the neighbors across the road from the proposed site, and I heard their concerns, and it really became clear that the neighborhood is advocating quite strongly against this development for legitimate planning reasons. I understand this as well because I drive down West Street every day to get to work down by Lococo's. I want to thank the planning staff for their diligent review and professional recommendation. Their assessment that the proposal deviates from the zoning bylaws and represents inappropriate intensification. I believe that's exactly right. So tonight, I want to highlight specific community concerns that reinforce why the application should not proceed in its current form. And to start off, the first and I believe the most important is traffic safety and the site designation. West Street is a very busy arterial road on a significant grade. This location experiences substantial traffic volume throughout the day, and the hill, of course, creates additional visibility and safety challenges. Born and raised in Brantford, I firsthand know that hill becomes dangerous in the winter, and we all may know that as well with that hill specifically. So I understand we're considering adding a 90-unit building, but there's inadequate staging space at that exact location. The proposal provides an approximate 2-car lengths of staging unit between the underground parking and West Street. And for a 90-unit building, this is inadequate and creates dangerous conditions year-round. I'm thinking about delivery trucks, ride shares, or moving vehicles trying to access the building. I'm wondering where they'll go, and the answers aren't being shown in the paperwork. They're forced, from what I can see, to be stopped on West Street itself. And with their hazards on, that's creating traffic backups and safety hazards. I also can't locate in the submitted planning any designated turnaround areas at the front of the building. So I'm just wondering where Canada Post, food deliveries, accessibility services, moving trucks, or especially emergency vehicles that don't necessarily reverse to have a safe turnaround zone. So there's what I can see, there's no way for them to stop besides on West Street on that hill, creating ongoing safety concerns. The second main issue is the parking deficit. With only 70 parking spaces for 90 units, a 20-space shortfall. And my understanding from what I can see is that we should be having 1.5 parking space for every unit. But regardless, I believe that we are a shortfall of parking. Now, the developer may argue that not all residents will have cars, and we should be encouraging transit use and reducing our car dependency. And as you may know, I firmly believe in our public transit system, but I would love to live in Brantford where we could justify reducing parking because our transit was so good that residents genuinely didn't need cars. I went to University of Waterloo for 5 years, and I can confidently say I didn't need a car till I came back to Brantford. I want to advocate for a better Brantford, and until we have a public transit that can actually replace car ownership, I do not believe we can approve out-of-town developers that pretend they already know better than our council knows. So based on the information from the Hanley Group, their own promotional materials that I found online specifically stated that they selected Brantford because they perceive our city as not having a streamlined process because we are quote unquote easy to deal with, not demanding, and not picky. So while efficient processing is valuable, my concern is that not all council members may understand the severity of their vote with this development, and that's why I signed up to delegate tonight, just to reinforce what you guys may already know. Third, I believe this has insufficient setbacks. The developer is requesting reduced setbacks to build closer to the property lines than normally permitted under our zoning bylaws. The area already has existing residential homes alongside increasing high-rise development. So pushing property lines to accommodate maximum density creates undue impact on neighbors' properties. More concerning, approving reduced setbacks is going to start to set a precedent here in Brantford. Our zoning bylaws exist for good reason. They protect our neighbors, our character, and ensure adequate spaces between buildings. We shouldn't waive them simply because a developer wants to maximize their profit per square foot area. If we allow this developer to squeeze closer to property lines, how do we justify refusing the next developer who asks for the same consideration? When we approve projects that deviate from their standards, we are making a statement on what we truly value. The planning department has identified that this proposal's level of intensification is inappropriate for this specific site, and I believe they're doing a great job protecting good planning principles, and I respectfully ask you to uphold the planning department's recommendation and refuse this application. So you have the opportunity tonight to demonstrate that our community expects development that serves residents, respects neighbors, and meets professional standing plan. And I know development is very important for our city's growth, and I'm not opposed to development. I'm not opposed to development on West Street. I'm opposed to bad development on West Street. I believe in infill, I believe in density, but I also believe it needs to be done right. And there's a responsible way to build on this site, but I don't think this proposal is it. So that's all I've got to say tonight, and I really thank you all for your service to our community and for your careful consideration tonight.
Well, we'll see, Carl, if there's any questions for you. Any questions for this delegate? Not seeing any. Thank you very much for coming out tonight and providing your input on this issue. So on the same matter, we have a second delegate, Gabriel Tetro. So yeah, if you just confirm your name and your address, and then you'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Thank you so much. My name is Gabrielle Tetro. I'm speaking in regards to the development proposal at 342-346 West Street. This is my first time, so I appreciate all of your patience. Good evening, councilors, Mayor Davis, and neighbors. My name is Gabrielle Tetro, but many of my neighbors call me Gabby. I live at 347 West Street with my husband, Jonathan, and my mother-in-law, who's in the back row, Althea. Thank you for this opportunity to add remarks on behalf of my household. I know that some of my neighbors in attendance have concerns that align with mine, and we were unable to make it to the January 22nd meeting. I'd also like to extend a thank you to the councilors that have given me their time and attention, including intermediate planner Dora Call, who was at the meeting on January 22nd. She has taken time to talk to me about the plans. There are 6 amendments that council voted against at the January 22nd meeting. I have listed my personal concerns and in 3 separate points, while still covering all 6 amendments being taken into consideration. Firstly, the request to move bicycle parking to the underground. With limited parking options in the West Street corridor, easy access to alternative modes of transportation is essential, especially with the applicant trying to reduce the required amount of dependable parking spots. The requirement of moving a bicycle in and out through access of a busy elevator or dangerous car ramp makes biking an unlikely choice. Easy bike access, less cars in and out of the property. Thank you for your continued vote to reject this amendment. Secondly, I seek your continued support to reject the request to reduce the amount of required parking spaces. There are not any public parking options available within 200 meters of the building site. This includes free or paid parking lots and street parking. I conducted a bit of a follow-up investigation into the 5 buildings that the city had used in their parking utilization case study. I looked only at the rental properties data and not the condo property data to keep information consistent with what the Hanley project has proposed. I'm going to ramble off some numbers. I'm hoping it's going to all add up for you guys. 150 Darling Street / 129 Wellington Street has a parking utilization of 0.69. Google Maps shows a walking distance of 68 meters to the nearest bus stop. 312 Grand River Avenue has a parking utilization of 0.77. Google Maps shows a walking distance of 7 meters to the nearest bus stop. Buildings 19 and 27 Lenwood Drive have parking utilization of 0.85. Google Maps shows a walking distance of 100 meters or less, depending on which entrance is used, to the nearest bus stop. Lastly, 335 Dunson Street / 575 Park Road North has a parking utilization of 1.1. Google Maps shows walking distance of 130 meters to the nearest bus stop. As you can see, parking utilization appears to increase as the walking distance to bus stops also increases. The proposed Hanley project is a whopping 170 meters halfway up a hill and beside extremely fast-moving traffic away from the nearest bus stop. The argument that the applicant has made is that public transit might be a nice alternative for parking spots, but we can see that there's evidence the further you are from a transit stop, the more likely you are to want to use a car, need to use a car. Lastly, but certainly not least of concerns, minimum rear and side setback and lot line requirements. Many residents and councillors have raised concerns involving how the available land space is being used for things like parking, including stackers, snow storage, garbage disposal, deliveries, moving trucks for tenants, emergency vehicle access, and the list goes on. Councillors, your choice to reject this amendment has the full support of my household and many of my neighbors. Modeling and site-specific details must be presented before considering such an enormous building for the land space provided. To elaborate, my concerns on designated emergency vehicle access, food package, and rideshare stopping area. The current building proposal lacks efficient room for safe entry and exit off of West Street without blocking the flow of traffic. There's no pending drop-off location or loop in front of the building of any kind for Uber, UPS trucks, taxis, Amazon, etc. The current building proposal lacks clear access to a loading and unloading area for a moving truck for tenants. The current building proposal lacks a place for snow storage. In its current proposal, it is located in the middle of the proposed widening of West Street. The current building proposal doesn't indicate if the city's green bin or recycling programs are being considered. There are long-term environmental effects that seem to be brushed away. This pertains to setback in terms to how the land is being utilized. Is there enough space for these programs to be incorporated into the new building? In this proposal, there is no clear indication of how garbage truck is going to enter or exit the property without potentially backing up into traffic on West Street. This may not be considered an issue for residential side streets, but it's a concern for a main traffic corridor like West Street. If a garbage truck doesn't have to enter the property, where does trash get staged? Where does bulk garbage like furniture and mattresses get staged? While we all agree intensification is needed, the details cannot be an afterthought. I think the community, including my household, could get on board for a more modest project, similar to the applicant's original 4-story, 40-unit plan, the plan that the property was purchased for. I had some more comments that probably were more personal than they needed to be, so I'm going to keep that to myself. Thank you everyone again so much for all of your consideration, and I appreciate the thought that you've put into it at the January 22nd meeting and your decision tonight. Thank you.
Well, Gabrielle, we'll see if there are any questions for you, and a good decision to stick to commenting on the planning principles and not getting personal. So any questions? Councilor McCreary.
I have one question. Gabby, you did very well. You told me beforehand you were very nervous. Are you still nervous?
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Hunt. Councillor Hunt has a question for you, Deborah. She's on virtually.
Yeah, Gabby, I wanted to thank you for coming. Great job. Out of all of the points that you've pointed out that you consider to be deficits in this, what would be both your household and your immediate neighbors' largest concern?
That's a tough one to answer because they all seem compounded so large. I think if I had to pick a top two, the parking deficit and the spacing. It's hard to put more importance on one than the other when those two are such big impacts to the area.
And you've got a bird's eye view of West Street from your front window. And I'm gonna say, looking directly across the street, this would be, suffice it to say, a very busy street without adding any intensification to it.
Absolutely, without question. I think if I were to add any input, if there was other access available to the building that wasn't on such a demanding street, I could see it coming to fruition. It's, I think, something that other councillors have referred to it as it's ambitious for what's available. It's just too much for what's available.
Okay, thank you again for coming, Gabby.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Gabrielle, thank you very much. I think you did a great job. And you didn't look nervous at all. So, council members, we do have a request to delegate on this matter, which was received after the 9 a.m. deadline. To hear from this delegation, we require a motion to waive the rules. And I should tell you that it actually is, I believe, Leo Thomas, who is with the applicant, the Hanley Group, would like to speak to the same matter. I point out to you that several weeks ago, we had a similar request that we did turn down. So I'll just stop for a minute. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Mayor, I'll make that motion to get council's opinion on this.
All right, so in particular, moving that we waive the rules to hear from, I believe it's Mr. Leo Thomas, who's sitting virtually. And we have a seconder, Councillor Sluss, and this would require a 2/3 vote to be successful. So, but first, any discussion? Councillor Scully.
Yes, I won't be supporting this just based on the merits that, in fairness, we said no to another developer not that long ago, and I'm going to continue to say no. The applicant had their opportunity to speak and to reply to the comments that were brought up at planning. And I just think it's unfair to allow an additional speaking opportunity that's not granted to any other developer in the city.
I'll say what I said before, which I don't think we appreciated when we changed the planning hearings to Thursdays. We're creating bifurcated, that's the legal word, for hearings that take place over more than one day. And there is a basic tenet to any hearing that follows the rules of natural justice, and that is the applicant should always be given an opportunity to respond to positions and positions advanced by those that are opposed. That's just simple procedural fairness. I've made that argument before here. I think I've done it twice now. Each time my argument was not supported by council. So I think we've set the precedent, and even though I don't think it's fair, I will abide by the precedent that I think we've established through a couple of decisions over the last 2 years. And I also will not be voting in favor of this request. So with that, I'm going to call the vote. Oh, Councillor Hunt.
Sorry, just for clarity, so Mr. Thomas, you indicated is part of the developer who had the opportunity to present to council via the planning committee. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Call the vote.
I'm a no.
The motion to waive,
I believe I'm still in conflict with this, so I can't vote.
the motion to waive the rules is lost and recorded vote of 2-8. Members of council vote in favor, councillors Sless and McCurry. Members opposed, councillors Sullivan, Hunt, Samwell, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, before we move into debating matters at hand, we do have a couple of things we have to clear up. The first would be the clerk's report and communications, and I believe Councillor Martin, you have that motion.
Thank you. I move seconded by Councilor McCurry that clerk's report on communication for January 2026 be received.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote.
I'm a yes.
The clerk's report on communication carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor, councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tuelborg, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Now move into item 11 minutes, and I believe Councillor Carpenter, you have the motion to adopt the minutes listed on the agenda. If you could
Indeed I
state
do,
that.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. It's moved by myself and seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Linda Hunt, that the following minutes be adopted. 11.1, special city council meeting on November 18th, 2025. 11.2, which is special city council meeting on December 10th, 2025. 11.3, city council meeting on December 16th, 2025. And the following minutes be received. The John Noble Committee of Management meeting October 8th, 2025. John Noble Committee of Management Private and Confidential October 8th, 2025. John Noble Committee of Management November 12th, 2025. John Noble Committee of Management December 10th, 2025. And the John Noble Committee of Management Private and Confidential on December 10th, 2025 be received. Thank you.
Any requests for corrections? Councillor Sloss, I think you want to separate the John Noble Home
Well,
minutes.
if I could, Mr. Mayor, yes, I have a conflict with the John Noble Home minutes. I have a family member employed there.
Any other comment regarding corrections? Seeing none. All right, we'll deal first with the special city council and city council minutes. 11.1 to 11.3.
I'm a yes.
The regular and special city council meeting minutes carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor, councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tuelborg, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Right now, the John Noble Home Committee management meeting minutes.
I'm a yes.
The John Noble Home Committee minutes carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 10-0, noting councillors' conflict of interest. Members of council voting in favor, councillors Sullivan, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tilborg, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so move on to the committee reports, of which there are two we're discussing. I believe Councillor Celeste, you have the motion to place the two separated items, 12.1.3 and 12.3.1 on the floor for discussion.
I do, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Caputo, that all items in committee reports, items 12.1 through to and including 12.3 be separated for discussion purposes, be approved.
Thank you. And so we'll begin with the zoning bylaw amendment PZ 1824 for 342, 346 West Street. Just a reminder, there is only one speaking opportunity for up to 5 minutes since this was dealt with originally at the committee level. So floor is open for debate. Councillor Sluss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't be supporting approval of this application. I voted against it at the planning committee, and I'll be voting against it here this evening. I think it's too much on too little, and it's not fitting with the character of that hill. It's creating a very hazardous situation that doesn't need to be created. For a host of reasons, that being one of the major ones, I will not be supporting it this evening.
Before I move on to the speakers, I just want to confirm that if you do not support the zoning, you vote yes. Because what we have before us is the committee recommendation to turn it down. And so voting yes means you support the committee's recommendation. So next speaker, Councillor Sikoli.
Yes, thank you. I won't repeat myself from the planning committee. All of my comments stand and I continue to vote in the same way that we refuse the application before us. But we did have a member of the community who sent me a very long descriptive email sharing their concerns, and he didn't have an opportunity to sign up to speak on time. So I did tell him that I would share his thoughts here. I'm not going to read it all because I don't have time. As you heard, we have some restrictions, but Andrew is here tonight. He's a Ward 3 resident, and he does have a lot of concerns regarding the safety of the right in, right out turnout lane right onto West Street and the significant safety risks that would be associated with that. He also shared some concerns with me regarding the emergency service access, food package, and rideshare stopping areas. And currently the plans proposed, there's no areas for ladder truck, pump trucks, or multiple emergency vehicles to arrive without blocking a full lane on West Street. A sentiment that I share as well, Andrew. Rideshare, food package delivery, and moving trucks also lack efficient room for safe entry and exit off West Street. And we know these drivers are on tight schedules and they're not providing additional room for them as setting us up really for failure there for people making some illegal turns. So I want to thank you for sharing those, and I wanted to make sure that I shared those thoughts with the committee as well. And I will be continuing to vote yes to this, to continue with the refusal of this way too dense proposal. Thanks.
Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge the quite a number of emails that I did get with some serious concerns, and will echo what I said to most of those that I replied to, which was for me, there was this was a hard no from the time I heard about it, just because of where it is on West Street. We already have traffic stacking on the lane that turns left onto Harris Ave. And quite often that lane, the stacking is not even enough for the number of vehicles. So then we've got vehicles that are going over onto the right-hand lane, and just even a right in and right out. There's just absolutely no way in my mind that we could add any more traffic to that area of the West Street Hill. So I would say that, yes, I'm going to also be supporting the work that was done by the planning committee, which I do not sit on, but I'm happy that the planning committee came up with that decision. Thank you.
Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I too will be supporting the recommendation on the floor, which is to not approve this development. And I, having read and responded to a number of emails from constituents about the issue and the concerns, and not to repeat everything that's already been said, it's clear that regardless of provincial regulations and provincial rules, it was unanimous by the planning committee that this application be turned down. So by having said that, I will be supporting, as a member of that planning committee, the direction that we took at that planning committee was I'll be supporting the recommendation to not approve. Thank you.
Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I wanted to thank the two delegates that came in tonight. I thought that was a perfect presentation. You certainly got your points across, and you had some valid reasons for as to why this development shouldn't take place. I also am going to be supporting the planning department's decision, but I did have a couple of questions for staff, if I may. A couple of weeks ago, we sat here and we went over Bill 60, which is the Ontario government new bill that brought it in place. If I'm correct, this grants the province to intervene and override any local city zoning and planning decisions. Am I correct with that?
Third as a counselor. Not necessarily in such a blanket way. No, it does increase their opportunities for minister zoning orders where they may override local decisions, but not outright.
I'm glad to hear that because I was hoping that this isn't gonna be one of those decisions that we stand behind as a council, but certainly not gonna get support from the province. To planning department, basically, this was just a rezoning application. There was never a site plan approval put in place when this decision was made. Am I correct with that too?
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Samuel.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. First, I wanted to just thank the delegates for being here tonight. I know what it's like to be on that side of the table, and I really appreciate you making the time to be here. This development has a laundry list of concerns. I'm not going to go back over all of them, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that I would be upholding the planning decision tonight to turn down this zoning. Thank you.
Councillor McCurry.
Mayor, thank you. I draw attention to the reason for refusal, one of them being the proposed level of intensification is not appropriate. And as a wise old friend of mine once said, this is like trying to put 20 pounds of sugar in a 2-pound bag. It's simply too much for the site. And primarily, in my estimation, I guess with respect to the parking, if people want to live in a building that doesn't have parking, they probably don't have cars, and I've got no issue with that. But what I did have issue with is the degree of intensification on this site that prohibits safe egress and access to that site for delivery trucks, for garbage trucks, for mail trucks. And what we have before us is a development that would require those drivers to be backing out onto West Street without help from a swamper or a flagman. And it's an inevitable risk of someone being run over, struck and killed. And I don't think we can live with that on our conscience. So for that reason, I don't support this. It's the level of intensification. It's a shame that there isn't a middle ground for this project because it's a prime opportunity for some intensification there. It's just that it's just too darn much.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In my other career driving fire truck, one of the big frustrations was pulling up to a building and not being able to pull up properly because so many cars are parked in the illegal fire route. That won't be a problem with this one because there is no illegal parking fire route. Without a fire route, there's no place for emergency vehicles to pull up. So that's a huge problem with this application and one of the reasons why I voted against it. It's been pointed out there's a parking deficiency, but what hasn't been said is even to get to that point, they require stackers. I believe it's about 20 parking spots are dependent on stackers. Now, they didn't know how these stackers even worked when asked at planning committee. And if these stackers break down or don't work, there's 20 spots gone. So not only is there a parking deficiency, but there's a potential for a much larger parking deficiency that takes it way beyond what even the parking study from other apartment buildings utilization was. So there's a lot of problems with this. Those are only two, but I'll be supporting the planning committee's decision, and I supported it planning, and I'll support it here as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll speak to this. Don't normally speak when there's been about 9 or 10 speakers when basically all you're doing is saying the same thing that the previous speaker said. But because I have certain strong mayor powers, I think it's important that I do speak in respect to this matter. And I can tell you that I'm coming to this with a lot of experience on the West Street Hill, probably in the 45 years I've lived here. I bet you I've gone up and down that hill at least 10,000 times. I've been rear-ended halfway up the hill when I was stopped waiting for the traffic on Charing Cross. I've gone up and down the hill, both of course knocking on doors at least 5 or 6 times in my life. Got up and down on with the electric scooter in my last campaign. So I think I've got a pretty good idea of what the traffic's like. And I think one of the most, the busiest of corridors. And my view is this application has stuffed too much into too little. I agree it's over, the density certainly on West Street Hill, West Street, you'd expect higher density, but not this much density. But because of my experience, the traffic on West Street, that this undoubtedly will create, if we allowed it, a completely unacceptable, an unsafe situation for traffic moving up and down the hill. Not to mention those poor residents across the street trying to back out, as difficult as that is, and this will make it 5 times worse. So my position would be no, 1,000 times no to this application in its present configuration. So with that, I'm going to call the vote. Yes means no.
I'm a yes.
Through the chair, I'm just.
Please change mine to a yes.
Through the chair, I'm just experiencing some technical difficulties. Give me 2 seconds. And Councillor Hunt, you are yes?
Yeah, yes.
Item 12.3.1 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 10-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCurry, Hunt, Samwell, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sicoli, and Mayor Davis.
Okay, let's move on to the next item, which was separated. And that I believe is 12.1.3, the implementation of backup boxes in city-owned facilities. Councillor Van Tilburg, you asked for this to be separated.
I did indeed. Mary, you've done an excellent job tonight. I just had it separated because I wanted to continue with my vote against it. So I just wanted to make sure it was voted against again. And the other thing that I had thought about in the intervening weeks since the previous vote was the trademark portion of it. That's another thing that gave me pause. I thought that was an unusual thing to do, because it kind of increases costs and box people into a one product line. So, that's just another thing, but yeah, it's not the direction I want to go. Thanks.
Councillor Sicoli.
Yes, thank you. I'll just make a few comments before everyone decides, and I just want to say that not every decision that we all make is for all residents, right? Like I voted and I've passed things on parks that I don't visit because I know for those residents, that means a lot. And for those who have a need to be filled, it means a lot. So we take an oath to serve all of our residents. And I will say that I confidently and passionately sit up here, that I represent all my constituents, whether we share culture, religion, skin color, or language. So this is a very niche product. I recognize that it's a little bit unorthodox to single source to a trademark, but there's only one of these. And that's kind of what makes this initiative and this product so unique. So I'm not Sikh, but I can recognize that for those individuals, there's a need, and this means a lot to those families. And I can't even count to the numbers of messages and phone calls and emails and DMs on Instagram and thanks for somebody finally paying attention to a need that needs to be filled. So I sit here proud to bring this forward, and I hope that we can continue to have the support of this council to move it forward. Thank you.
All right, so I'll call the vote.
I'm a yes.
Item 12.1 12.3 is lost on recorded vote of 4-7. Members of council voting in favor, Councillors Hunt, Carpenter, Sokoli, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councillors Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Martin, and Caputo.
All right, that addresses the items that were separated from the committee reports. There are no urgent reports, there's no resolutions, but we do have 4 notices of motion. Councillor McCreary, you have 2 of them, so please, if you would read the title of your 2 notices of motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Number 1, efficiency, effectiveness, and value for money audit. Number 2, military museum support.
All right, now I have 2. First title, Downtown Brantford Business Improvement Area Bylaw Update. And the second one that I'm advancing, Flashing Blades Event, Brantford Figure Skating Club. So we'll now move into the bylaws. And I'm going to ask Councillor McCreary if you could rush back to the table, because you have the motion to approve all the bylaws that have.
That was as quick as I could go, Mayor.
uh,
So moved, seconded
excellent.
by Councillor Martin.
Well, you have to read
Oh,
bylaws.
sorry. Sometimes that works.
There's only 5 of them, don't
I
worry.
know. Okay. As I said, seconded by Councillor Martin. These are your bylaws. Bylaw 2-2026 being a bylaw to declare and dedicate Part 2 on 2R 8693 City of Brantford being part of the PIN 370740713 LT as part of the public highway to be known as Conklin Road. Bylaw 3-2026, a bylaw to amend bylaw 202-2019 to repeal and replace corporate policy 042 acquisition and disposition of interest in lands policy. Bylaw 4-2026, a bylaw to authorize the exchange of lands between the Corporation of the City of Brantford and 241-0002 Ontario, Inc. Bylaw 5-2026, a bylaw to close a portion of Scheller Lane. And Bylaw 6-2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford with respect to the meeting held today.
Does anybody want any of the bylaws separated for discussion purposes? Nope. Okay, I'll call the vote.
I'm a yes.
The approval of all bylaws carries unanimously on recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor, Councillors Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, as the clerk and I sign only 6 bylaws, we'll go to ward announcements. So keep it short because we'll be finished signing these bylaws in very short order. I'll go to Councillor McCreary first.
Mayor, thank you. Councillor Martin and I are hosting a community safety event. I believe it's Thursday night, 6 or 6:30 at Gretzky Center in the tournament room. Come in through Rinkside and pass the first rink and turn left and you're in the tournament room. Secondly, congratulations to our own Councillor Samwell on being elected chair of the Police Services Board. She's going to do a bang up job, I know. Dan Hauser was elected as the vice chair, and outgoing chair Alan Lovett. We need to make sure he's recognized for the hard work that he put in this past year as well. And those are my announcements.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. I don't have anything ward related, but I would like to thank all of our snow clearing staff and everybody that's been out there taking care of our roads. Working in Hamilton as well as working here, I've been able to see the lackluster work that's being done in Hamilton as opposed to Brantford. So I'd like to applaud our staff for everything they do.
Councillor Sokoli.
Nothing for me.
Councillor Caputo.
Well, the BSNA is spearheading a new initiative called the Poppy Project, which is meant to bring together the community through extensive partnerships and create an impactful art piece consisting of handmade poppies. There'll be first partners meeting will take place Thursday, January 29th, which is 2 days from now in the Charlie Ward room here. And lastly, Winter Festival, Family Day Weekend. Please check out city webpage to see all the events that are taking place for that weekend. It's an opportunity for us together as a community to bind, to bond, to bring culture that we deserve. This type of an event happening in our city, not only in the winter, I can't wait for the summer, but definitely in the winter. We won't be canceling it this year because winter got in the way. We have plenty of snow, and I encourage all neighborhood associations as well to be able to plan something, even though short notice, to do something to be able to support this week. Thanks.
So that's the Winter Fun Fest, not the Winter Festival.
Winter Fun Fest.
Fun Fest, yes, okay. So Councillor Sluss.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, with this weather, all the community rinks are up and running and, they're all over the city. I'm sure, everybody here, thanks and congratulates the folks that, keep them up and going and flooding and clearing them and doing all those things. And if you have time and you're in your neighborhood that has a rink, please check out the folks that are looking after it. And if you can spend an hour to go up there and help flood or help shovel, snow off the ice, please do. The kids love them. They're all busy and it's, far better playing there than it is on the street or doing things that maybe you don't want them doing. So get the kids out on the ice and let them have fun outside.
Councillor Van Tilburg. Right, Councillor Martin.
Yeah, just to clarify, the start time for the community safety meeting on Thursday is 6:30. Thank you.
That's excellent. We always like to have very accurate information when we're at board announcements. I'm glad you corrected the error that was made by your ward council colleague. Yeah, okay. Councillor Hunt, you're next.
No ward announcement, but just for everybody to stay warm and stay safe. And I also echo the thanks for all of our hardworking staff that have certainly been tasked with a lot of work over the last month.
Yes, well said. So Councillor Samuel, you're the last.
All right, I'll keep this as quick as I can. So first I wanted to thank everyone who came out to our downtown safety town hall last week. It was a great turnout and I want to thank the community partners, the BPS and the BIA and city staff that were part of that. I also wanted to announce that we're having a youth skate night as part of the events coming out of the Town and Gown Committee in partnership with the Brantford Immigration Partnership and the Youth Council. And that's in Harmony Square on January 30th, 6 to 8 this Friday. And I know that Winterfest has been mentioned already, but I wanted just to give a special shout out to the fact that Laurier is doing their purple and gold party as part of it at One Market. And so that's February 15th, 1 to 5, and they'll be having inflatable space painting, Marco the Clown, Doug the Great, Crockadoodle, and lots more. And just let everybody know that there's free parking in the parkade that day as well. So lots of ways to park. And I think that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Samuel, I wanted to thank you and Councillor Van Tilburg for inviting me to the Ward 5 Downtown Security, Safety and Security Town Hall. Thought you did an excellent job running the meeting, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to express my unique viewpoint and perspective on some of the issues involving our downtown. It's very nice when councillors invite me to their ward meetings.
Mayor, would you please attend our ward meeting Thursday?
Accepted. With that, that's the end of our council meeting for the month of January. Hope everybody stays warm. Looks like we have about a cold and snowy weather ahead of us for several weeks. So please take care of one another and help your neighbors if they need help with their walks or driveways being shoveled. And with that, I wish everybody a great month. Thank you.